Crypto Caesar Capital. Hope you're well. It's the 3rd of September. I'm doing another video this week where we're going to be looking at the altcoins because altcoins are something now that we should start to be looking at for the future, for the next bull cycle. And something, you hear a lot within the crypto space on Twitter, on Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere on the social media platforms is this time it's different. Everybody will say, big accounts, this time it's different because of X, Y, and Z. This time it's different because of this, that, and the other. And to be honest, if you look back in history, the data suggests that although each cycle has its own characteristics and is slightly different to the last cycle, generally speaking, the solid foundation of the last cycle is very similar to the cycle previous to that. So a lot of people have been calling an alt season all through 2023. Some people were even calling an alt season in 2022. I mean, just crazy, really, when we were in the midst of a bear market. But you know what? It was the same in 2019. People were calling an alt season then, and it just didn't happen. Obviously, some alts are going to pop, and but that's not an alt season. That's not when the altcoin market cap breaks out of its range and starts to print higher lows. So you'll hear this a lot. This time it's different, but you know what, when we look back at history, the chances are that this time won't be different, and we can see that in this chart. We've looked at many different altcoin charts on this channel. We've looked at Total 2, which is everything excluding Bitcoin. We've looked at Total 3, which is everything excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, which those charts are great. They give us an idea of what's going on. But stable coins now, in particular, stable coins can possibly skew the vision of the cycle. So today we're going to look at others. You can find it on TradingView. You just simply have to put others in, and others is essentially all cryptos within the crypto space or on CoinMarketCap, listed on CoinMarketCap, excluding the top 10 cryptos. And I think that gives us a really good sort of idea of when alt seasons start, because the top 10 cryptos, especially now, and certainly in the last cycle, had gained such a large, strong market cap, particularly in US dollar pairings, that they tended to fluctuate with the price of Bitcoin more so than anything else. But when we look at the others, so all cryptos bar the top 10, we get a good idea, more of a stronger idea, I think, or it's interesting to look at least, as to when alt seasons start. And interestingly enough, the data on this chart goes all the way back to 2014. So we can see here it starts back in March of 2014. So it's quite a considerable amount of data that we can see and that we can extrapolate. So let's have a look at it. What we can see here, and I'm sure you've watched my other videos. If you haven't, if you're new to the channel, and go back and have a look at the other videos that I've done on altcoins and alt seasons, etc. If we go back and have a look at this, we can see that each cycle has been very, very similar to the last cycle. And this is why I was saying, in 2022, we're not going to have an alt season this year. We're not having an alt season 2022. We're not having an alt season in 2023 either. But I think the likelihood is that we break out of the range in 2023, maybe end of 2023, probably more so in 2024 towards the halving, and then the alt season starts. So the alt season for me will start in 2024. it might not be until sort of the summer of 2024 when it really starts to move, and then it will really start moving towards the end of 2024. But let's go back in history and let's have a look. So we can see here, back in 2014, all the cryptos bar the top 10, although there probably weren't even that many cryptos at that point. We'd have to go back and have a look, but we're stuck in this range. So, range bound, accumulation zone, and then the halving comes. Each vertical line represents a halving event. So the second halving comes, and we can see here that the altcoin market cap or the others breaks out pretty much bang on the date of the halving. It broke out, and then it started to make its way upwards in a nice expansion phase. So, long time of accumulation, then the halving comes and it starts, the expansion phase begins, comes up to the top. That was the top of Bitcoin, or the top of the alt season in January of 2018. Then it falls back into its range, or the bear market, the accumulation range, and it remains in that range for a considerable amount of time. This was probably the Bitcoin bottom, or it was back in December 2018, remains in that range, and then along comes the Bitcoin halving event, and it breaks out of that range and off it goes. Lovely expansion phase up to the top. Then the same, this is where we are. This is the last cycle. We found our top, then we came back down into this bear market accumulation range. And we've been bouncing up and down here for some time. And my view is that this vertical line represents the next schedule halving date. So my view is that this time won't be different, that we will be probably stuck in this range now for a little bit of time, and then come close to the halving, just before the halving or just after the halving, we will start to break out, and there will be this nice expansion phase. Okay, so as much as things are always slightly different with each cycle, generally speaking, we can see in the past that the general solid foundation of the cycle remains, and that being that you've got to wait for the Bitcoin halving event before the altcoins break out. But taking positions in altcoins, and of course, this isn't financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing on this channel is purported to be financial advice. But for me, looking at the data and the history and my experience in this, is that the best time to start taking positions in altcoins isn't at the halving. Okay, it's prior to the halving, because you can see that the altcoin market cap or the others bottoms out or is fairly low about 6 months prior to the halving. So you can see here the halving event, we go back 6 months, 26 weeks. We could see here that the altcoin market cap or the others was pretty much at its low there. So that would have been an optimum time to take position in altcoins. Why? Because obviously they are at the bottom at that point. They're the bottom of their accumulation phase. So this is a good time, obviously, to start taking positions, because it's at the bottom, and then you could start riding it up towards the Bitcoin halving. Prior to this 6 month period point, for me, it's always better to take positions in Bitcoin. This time around, it was 75% Bitcoin, 25% Ethereum, but previous to that, it was always Bitcoin, because with Bitcoin, with crypto, you're taking on less risk. With Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin, it's the king. So taking positions in Bitcoin has always been better to take positions at the 4-year cycle low, and the 4-year cycle low is obviously completely different seminar or video, and you need to go back and watch that in my videos. But taking positions in Bitcoin is best to take at the 4-year cycle low. For me, I take the positions then in Bitcoin, ride that up, less risk, get a good return out of that. And then when we can, 6 months before the halving, then you can start taking positions in altcoins, so you can start maybe selling some of those positions in Bitcoin and reallocating them to altcoins. But there's no point, at the 4-year cycle low, taking positions in altcoins, really, because even though they might be at their low, it's just you're taking on too much risk. I mean, why would you do that? And there are other factors as well, like the narrative. The narrative always changes. Like the narrative in 2017 was ICOs. If you'd taken positions at the lows on some of those ICO coins in 2019, you would have been unhappy because there would have been lots of other different cryptos that have been released, right, that had much better runs. And, taking positions in those around 6 months prior to the halving would have been more optimal than taking positions in old altcoins. So 6 months here prior to the halving back in 2016 was the optimum time. Let's have a look at the next cycle. So this was the halving in 2020, so 26 weeks. There you go. So here again, wasn't at the top of the range, was a pretty good time to take positions in altcoins, especially if you look at of total 2 and total 3. The other charts I've discussed, they were closer to their low, I think, at that point. But again, this was a good optimum time to take position on altcoins because you would have started riding it up. And I think that what would have happened if we didn't have that COVID low was that we probably would have started to break out of this range a little bit before, maybe a month or two before the halving, but generally close to the halving, right? So 6 months before, good time to take positions in altcoins. So you don't have to take, I wouldn't take positions in altcoins completely 6 months before, but it's a good time to start looking and thinking about it, thinking about what your plan's going to be. All the research that you've done throughout the whole of the bear market on the altcoins that you're going to be taking positions on, then 6 months before the halving is a good time to start sort of making those allocations. So 6 months, 26 weeks before the halving is going to be around sort of the beginning of October, end of September, beginning of October. That would probably be an optimal time to start looking to take positions in altcoins. I mean, now isn't a bad time. We're not far off that. We're a month away. And as I said, not every cycle is exactly the same, right? But we are now approaching that window of opportunity, if we could call it that. We are now approaching that window of opportunity and almost in it. So for me, looking to take positions in altcoins now and towards the halving is probably, for me, a good idea. And I'm taking on less risk in my view. And that's exactly why I'm releasing the Caesars 10 altcoins on the 29th of September. Okay, so in a few weeks' time, because I think that's an optimal time to release that document. And for people who are interested in that research and that data to have a look at it and see what they think. But as I say, for me, 6 months prior to the halving, around the end of September, beginning of October, is a really good optimal point to start thinking about altcoins, thinking about the narrative, thinking about which ones are going to do well. So this kind of window here, let's call this the window of opportunity. Okay, so taking your positions in the window of opportunity and then hopefully watch everything run into this lovely expansion phase as we move into the cycle. So that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. If you want to join my group and you want to be able to get your hands on Caesars 10, those are the best altcoins I think that are going to be performing well for the next cycle, then you can join the VIP group. If you join the VIP group, you will have instant access to that document, and that document will be released on the 29th of September. If you want to join the group, reach out to me on Twitter. It's the easiest way. Remember, always the blue tick Caesar and always the Caesar with 63 or 62,000 plus followers. Please don't fall for any scams. If you don't want to reach out to me on Twitter, please email me via the website. Okay, thanks very much. That's it for today, and I hope that you have a good day. Thank you very much for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.